Well, how are you? Always good to see you. Hope things are well up in Canada land.
Yes, it's great. I'm actually down in the States
Okay.
in Seattle, so
Oh, right on.
close, but
Yes.
yeah.
Same thing. I was actually there a couple weeks ago. I hadn't been in like maybe since 2019, but I was only there for a day, and it's like that city, just something about it. It's
I
really
know.
it's different. I want to go back soon.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I mean, aside from that though, any other travels? I know obviously preparing for fighting and stuff like that. And I think you have some family kind of nearby, but have you done much traveling and stuff lately?
No, next week we're headed to Arizona for the week to train and yeah, just be down there and train. But no, we've been able to like stay at home and do most of this camp up in Canada, so it's been nice.
All right, very cool. A lot going on. And did I see what Lance Senior landed a new movie role? What's going on? Am I seeing fake news?
No, no, like he was in Edmonton actually, like in Alberta for like a month in the summer filming. So I'm not sure when it gets released, but yeah, it was great for him.
All right, very cool indeed. Yeah, so look at you
Yeah.
guys. Good times. But yeah, Julia, of course, we got the championship coming up here. Awesome. And,
Yeah.
congrats on the last win, of course, too. I know summertime now, but interesting one, right? Because I'm sure there was a lot of relief in, snapping a three-fight skid, which first time and last time, right? So, I mean, just
hmm
what was kind of the feelings like of doing that against Yandrova? And then, like, I'm curious too, like, how it felt going through that, because especially for you, like, there's a pretty good argument that you should have won all those fights too. So, I'm
hmm
sure that you had a lot of a mental roller coaster kind of going on, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were close fights and like it was frustrating. The Aspen fight was frustrating, and then Pacheco, I was like, well, I actually like rewatched that with no commentary on, just turned it
Hmm.
on mute and rewatched it, and I was like, huh, like being actually really critical of it and being like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. Like I lost. I was like, oh, I thought I won like 10 minutes of that fight, like clearly, but I
Hmm.
mean, it looks like her style looks like she's the aggressor the whole time
Yeah.
and she plods forward and she's got that. So I was like, you know what? Either way, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change things. I need to get in there. I need to improve. I need to improve my skills, get better. And then this fight that's coming up, I was frustrated last year when I had to cancel
Right.
it with like so I was like this is what I really wanted. I had seen a bunch of stuff that she had to fight by the end of the year and I was like I knew I was out of the season, so I was like I was really pushing for it. As soon as I fought my last fight, I was like, okay, well, and I started, messaging Ray asking for it. So, um, you know, that's just I'm here and I'm getting better. So, yeah.
Yeah, of course, always. And like, I mean, going through kind of, the rough patch there too, like, do you think in a way, even though they were very close, like we said, and, arguably could have won, like, is it good in a way to give you that extra motivation and be like, damn, and maybe assess things a little bit more
hmm
than you would have? Because what people always say, you learn more from the losses, it makes you kind of requires you
Yeah.
to make certain changes. So, in a way, do you use it as a positive?
Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, I spent like 5 or 6 months down at Fight Ready, Arizona, growing, adding tools to my skill set, working with some amazing people, and then bringing it back to my home team at Gibson MMA. And I think that was maybe wouldn't have happened if I had gone on
Mm.
just winning, 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 winning. So I could say that sometimes, challenging situations like that, you that's where you actually have to assess and you grow from that. And that's just kind of where I was at. I was like, yeah, I won for a lot of years. I spent a lot of my career on like winning 8 or 9 years straight of winning, and um, even though I was improving during that time, it wasn't at the same rate I could say as this last year has been. So, um, yeah, it's been. I feel like it all worked out for me for the better, but it still sucks. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I love to win. I'm competitive. I'm a champion. It's like it drove me nuts, but at the same time, it drove me in the right direction, which
Hmm.
is just to like constantly improve so that no judge or no fights are close like that again, and I
Hmm.
can walk out with my hands raised.
Yeah, and I think we've probably talked about it before, Julia, but I'm curious, like, what do you think? what do you think we can do for improvements? Like, are you an open scoring person? Are you in favor of that? Like, in terms of judging, it's just never seeming to get better. Really, like, I don't know
Yeah,
if you saw
yeah,
like the Shevchenko Grasso fight. It was obviously the weird card there. I
yeah.
mean, just how do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Well, I just feel like when there's that much rolling on the like these people like not there's some good judges,
Yeah.
but like it's when there's like people's careers are on the line. Like you can't have nights like that where you're like don't not paying attention or you're giving sympathy scores to somebody or you're getting like I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot to improve, but one would be for sure that the judges should be really experienced in the sport. It
Mm.
shouldn't be one sided. They shouldn't be boxing judges. They should be mixed martial arts judges and yeah, and you can't really afford to have like an off night where you're not paying attention. You're like, oops, I gave
Yeah.
it completely. You know what I mean? Like that can't happen for something. You have one job, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah. A
yeah.
very important one too. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a
Yeah.
tricky thing for sure, and I think that also something just like fans might not realize. Like, I'm not saying criticism isn't fair or justified or anything, but would you agree that like I've noticed this just in my time in the sport and whatnot too, but watching from home and then cage side is very big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's always it's going to be a topic forever, right? As long as the sport's around, so is what
Yeah.
it is. But Kayla Harrison, though, Julia, obviously, again, like you said, the fight that was supposed to happen, and now we're getting it in a very roundabout way. But hey, better
Hmm.
late than
Hmm.
never. Awesome. Still working out, still on a championship event. Just like, how do you feel about the timing of it coming together? Is it better or worse? I mean, obviously, the matchup, thoughts on, Kayla, she's not this undefeated destroyer anymore. I mean, still, of course, the destroyer, very good fighter, but the aura has maybe fallen off. Haven't seen her since then. A lot of things about it.
Hmm.
Overall feelings, Julia.
Overall feelings, I'm super excited. I'm focused on obviously me improving, being dangerous everywhere. I think that yeah, she's had her loss last year. It was a close fight, but I think it's just, I think that could have lit a new fire underneath her, and she could, I kind of could think about it. I don't know how it's affected her. I don't know. I don't really know her at all, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, she was 15-0 before that. And yeah, I look forward to testing my skills against her strengths and her weaknesses. You know what I mean? And kind of seeing that and having a lot of like close eyes on places where I feel like yeah, I can I can do what I do best. So that's what I'm
Absolutely.
focused on.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it's kind of relatable as we were just talking about, like the things that losses maybe force you to change, right? So like now she's going through that as well, and it could provide, maybe a different challenge, a different Kayla, the things that she's done, like expecting you expect the best version always from your opponents,
Hmm.
right? But in this case, it's like just kind of not knowing her personally, but knowing who she is. Like, safe to say, you got to be tip top for
Yeah.
what she wants to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm expecting her to be her best, but at the same time, I don't know when somebody's like, it's a very different path like that we've had. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like this organization built around her. A lot of those fights have been like the girls seem like they were broken before they even get into the fight. And having that kind of aura and that like yeah, that like destroyer aura around you, and then when that's gone, I don't really know what that's like because I didn't have a like we just had a different path.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But that's all. Like, it is what it is. I think she's obviously like being an Olympic champion and being that dominant for so long. She's gonna go through her own process and come out, and I'm expecting her to be at her very best. So I know I will be.
Yes, yes, and always very excited for it, Julia. So like, I'm never ever gonna tell any fighter to retire, and especially not you. And I don't want you to, but all this time now, all the experiences that you've had, great career,
Hmm.
one of the best 145ers of all time. I'll say it every single time. But like, how much longer do we kind of are you envisioning? Or I'm sure you can't think about it, but if you pin a point where you're like, I'm not gonna be fighting when I'm 50. Like, how
No,
much longer,
no, yeah,
ideally?
not long. I really like I obviously God willing, like, but I feel great. And I really wanted this fight to happen before I retired. I think that it should have happened right when I came to
Yeah,
PFL.
for sure.
This is the fight that should have happened. And I want to fight for next year. I'm hoping to be in the season for the PFL season next year, and then yeah, and then hang up the gloves after that. And but at the same time, things change,
Yep.
and all I know is that I'm 100% going into this fight, and this is one of the fights that I want before the end of my career. I'm like, I want to make sure I fought everybody, all the challenges, all the, that's just been my story. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely one we had to get off the checklist
yeah,
there, and
yeah,
I think it's. I love that you say, at least next year, because
yeah,
obviously things are kind of interesting right now, Julia. With
yeah,
I'm sure you're
yeah,
keeping up with the Bellator absorption potential here.
exactly.
You might know more
Yeah,
than I do. Maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. We'll leave it at that. But like that could open here. I'm all about the stories and how things could play out, right? So let's imagine that happens, and let's say you get a Cyborg rematch in the finals for your last fight, like
absolutely.
something crazy. Like, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on, I
yeah.
guess, this potential and how fun it could be?
Well, I think it would be so fun, and that's kind of what I'm in my mind. I'm like, imagining. And
Got to stick
some of
around
the
for
fights
that.
that, exactly, and some of the fights that I didn't get to fight in Bellator, I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be awesome. Super excited about, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yes, yeah, so totally understandable from your position, and very curious to see how that all shakes out, obviously. But
Me
of
too.
course, good times and memories for Bellator. So I guess like yeah, I mean, just if that is like the end for them, and like they don't stick around as like collaborators or anything like that. I mean, of course, Bellator, massive, massive part of your career and legacy, Julia. So like any specific big memories that you kind of always stick out to you when you think of them? Of course, your title fights and wins and all that good stuff, but maybe something out of the cage, even like when you will look back on Bellator and your time with them, like what is kind of your fondest moments, I guess.
I would say the whole, like, I know other people have probably said this too, but the crew and staff are like,
Oh yes.
it feels like family. So, fighting on the same night as Lance Gibson Jr.,
Hmm.
being, having that experience, and then being the champion for a few years, it was, yeah, those were obviously really fond memories, but also just like working with those, from Rich to Carrie to Jane, everybody backstage. It's like you feel like family, and it feels like a big family. So, I'm hoping that obviously Bellator sticks around, but at the same time, it would be so awesome if, hey, me and Lance
Reunite.
Jr. could be fighting on a
Yeah.
PFL card together.
Yeah.
So who knows?
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. Couldn't agree more with that. And all right, Julia. Well, last thing I'll leave you with here. Always, always fantastic catching up with you. But I got to get your prediction. I got to put you on the spot with the finals for the featherweight tournament, right?
Mm.
Pacheco and Mokhnatkina, of course. I'm sure you've been following both of them closely, and you did fight Pacheco. So, just what do you think?
Yep.
Who's coming out? Who's going to be the champ this year?
I have a feeling it's going to be Pacheco, but Marina's got a way of making people look bad, and
Yeah.
she's got a good skill set too. So, but Pacheco's good on the ground. I think people overlook her ground from her, striking, like from her, her knockout power.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think it's going to be close. I actually don't think it's going to be like an easy fight, but I do think Pacheco's going to win.
Yeah. And I think the 5 rounds too is very interesting
Yeah,
for Marina because, like, yeah, we're just looking at like her Kayla fight, for example. She has that way, her style can
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
won't beat you, but it'll shut you down. So that'll be interesting
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So, all right.
Awesome.
Well, I will be there, Julia. So always love being at your
Awesome.
fights. Can't wait to see you again in person. It's going to be a good old time, of course, to close out the year a little bit there. And best of luck with everything. Congrats on
Yeah.
getting it and how everything is coming to this juncture and going forward. I'll be watching and wishing you the best of luck. So thanks as always for catching up.
Yeah. Thank you so much. See you there.